Every time it showed up, something legendary was about to die. From the holsters of Navy SEALs to the belts of Secret Service agents to the hands of police officers across every city in America, the Glock 19 left a trail of fallen giants. From elite military units to federal agencies to your local police department, who were the Glock 19's biggest victims and which guns never saw it coming? Even decades after it first arrived, the Glock 19 is still adding names to that list. 6 guns once ruled their world. 1 protected the president, another went to war in the desert, a third dove into the ocean with the world's most elite warriors. Each of them had a reputation that seemed untouchable. Then a small Austrian pistol made of polymer showed up and quietly ended them all. This is the story of how the Glock 19 dismantled 6 legends one at a time, and exactly what made each of them finally give up the fight. Victim 6. Sig Sauer P226 MK25, the Navy SEAL legend. For 30 years, the Sig P226 was basically royalty. Navy SEALs carried it on every mission, trusted it with their lives in every environment on Earth, and treated it like a Tier 1 status symbol. This was a gun built like a vault, hammered from steel with a kind of reputation that made you feel invincible just strapping it on. But you can't carry a reputation when your kid already weighs 80 pounds. The world of special operations never stops changing. Operators were already loaded down with body armor, night vision rigs, radios, and rifles. Every single ounce on that belt mattered more than ever before. And that all-metal pistol, for all its greatness, was starting to feel like dead weight after mile 12 of a dive hop. Worse, the saltwater was winning. Even with special coatings designed to fight corrosion, the steel internals still had a nasty habit of rusting after too many hours submerged in the ocean. For men whose office was the bottom of the sea, that was a problem with no easy fix. Then the Glock 19 showed up and flipped the whole game. The SEALs shocked a lot of people when they dropped the P226 entirely and adopted the Glock 19 under the designation MK27 Mod 2. The polymer frame barely reacted to saltwater at all. A special treatment called tenifer protected the internals from corrosion even after dive after dive. But here's the part that really sealed it. Tiny internal cups around the firing pin let water drain out the moment a SEAL surfaced. He could break the surface and fire in the same breath, something the traditional hammer-fired P226 with its exposed mechanism could never match as safely or as quickly. Add a couple extra rounds in the magazine and several ounces stripped from a kit already loaded to the breaking point, and there was almost no reason left to keep the old steel gun around. Just like that, a 30-year-old reign was over. Victim number 5, Beretta M9 92FS, the standard military giant. Since 1985, the Beretta M9 was the gun every branch of the U.S. military carried. It was large, reliable for conventional infantry use, and for years nobody complained too loudly. It did its job and the troops in the field trusted it. Then Special Forces went to Iraq and Afghanistan and everything changed. Green Berets and their operators found the M9 suffocating. It was too big, too wide, too visible under civilian clothes on low-profile missions in local villages. That open-slide design, fine in a controlled range environment, became a nightmare in the desert. Fine sand crept in and caused jams at exactly the moments no operator could afford a jam. So small units under U.S. SOCOM started doing something quietly extraordinary. They began buying Glock 19s with their own unit funds, without waiting for permission from the chain of command above them. Not officially sanctioned, just operators making the right call with the guns available. The enclosed slide kept sand out, the polymer build was light enough to hide under a local shirt, and it simply refused to fail. Same 15 rounds as the M9, but in a grip that fit more hands without a fight. Unlike the M9's wide double-stack frame that left smaller-handed shooters wrestling the gun just to get a proper hold. Eventually, the brass noticed that the gun their operators were choosing on their own was outperforming the official sidearm. SOCOM made the switch official. The Beretta was left behind for the regular infantry. Special operations moved on to something smaller, lighter, and built for the kind of war they were actually fighting. Victim number 4, Sig Sauer P229 in 357 Sig, the Secret Service heavyweight. The Secret Service and the Federal Air Marshals wanted power, real, undeniable, barrier-defeating stopping power. The kind of round that could punch through obstacles and keep going. So they chose the Sig P229 loaded with 357 Sig, a snappy, high-pressure cartridge that hit hard and hit fast. Agents trusted that setup for 20 years. Recoil was brutal, but they told themselves that was just the cost of doing business at that level. Then in 2014, the FBI dropped a landmark ballistics study that quietly detonated inside the entire firearms industry. The research showed that modern hollow-point ammunition in 9mm performed just as well as stopping threats. With without the extra recoil, without the accelerated wear on the gun, and without the physical punishment building up in the shooter over thousands of training rounds. Because here's the thing nobody wanted to admit, that .357 SIG cartridge had been silently chewing through guns and wearing out agents for years. Cracked frames, worn springs, shooter fatigue bleeding into performance right when composure mattered most. In 2019, the Secret Service walked away from their 2-decade relationship with the P229 and switched straight to the Glock 19 Gen 5 MOS. They traded a heavy metal frame and punishing recoil for something lighter with more rounds on tap and a mounting system for a red dot on top. Faster acquisition, more precise shooting under pressure. After 20 years chasing raw power, lighter and faster finally won the argument. Before we get into the next 3, if breakdowns like this are your thing, subscribe to Guns You Can't Live Without right now so you don't miss what's coming next. Victim number 3, Sig Sauer P228, the Federal and Military Compact. The Sig P228, known in military services as the M11, was supposed to be the perfect compact 9. The FBI carried it, plainclothes military investigators carried it. Federal agents looked at it and saw the best small 9 on the market in a package they could actually conceal. But the more you looked at it, the more the cracks showed. For a gun marketed as compact, the grip was still uncomfortably wide in the hand. The bore axis sat high, meaning the barrel rested further above the shooter's grip than it needed to, which sent the muzzle flipping skyward with every shot and slowed the return to target. And agents still had to manage 2 completely different trigger pulls in the same gun, a long, heavy first shot, then a short, light second shot, on, all day, under stress, in the field. The Glock 19 arrived with the same 15-round capacity, a dramatically lower bore axis for faster follow-up shots, and a consistent trigger pull that felt the same every single time. Its polymer frame made a 12-hour plainclothes shift feel genuinely different, less burden, less fatigue, and it cost a fraction of what agencies were spending to manufacture and maintain the P228. Once agents got their hands on something equally capable but infinitely easier to shoot fast and conceal, the writing was on the wall for the old SIG Compact. The gold standard quietly lost its shine. Victim number 2, Smith & Wesson 5906, the 3rd-generation Wonder 9. When police departments figured out in the 1980s that they needed high-capacity 9s, a lot of them made the instinctive, gut-level choice: stick with what feels familiar. Stick with metal, stick with American steel. The Smith & Wesson 5906 became one of the most common results of that thinking. A stainless beast adopted across departments from coast to coast, built around a double-action, single-action trigger system that felt serious in the hand. The problem was that it was too serious in all the wrong ways. Unloaded, the 5906 weighed 38 ounces. On a duty belt, through a 12-hour shift, that weight accumulates in ways that numb your hip and drag on your focus by hour 10. And the trigger made everything harder under stress. The first shot required a 12-pound pull. Every shot after that dropped to a light 4 pounds. 2 completely different experiences, one gun, one fight, one moment when muscle memory had to instantly recalibrate. Officers missed that first shot, the most important shot, the one they trained for. The Glock 19 weighed 21 ounces unloaded. That alone cut the burden nearly in half. But the real shift was the trigger, a consistent 5.5-pound pull on every single shot, from the first to the last. No recalibration, no surprises, no split-second relearning in the middle of a firefight. Training costs dropped, academy time dropped, and a generation of police officers stopped carrying a complicated, heavy gun that asked too much of them in the moments that mattered most. Victim number 1, Smith & Wesson Model 10, Model 686, the 6-shot police revolver. For most of the 20th century, the revolver wasn't a choice. It was simply what a police officer carried. 6 rounds of .38 Special or .357 Magnum, a gun that was simple, tough, and respected by everyone who put on a badge. Then came April 11th, 1986. The FBI Miami shootout changed everything. In a firefight that lasted less than 5 minutes, 2 dangerous criminals absorbed dozens of gunshot wounds and kept fighting, kept killing, while outgunned agents fumbled with limited ammunition and slow reloads. It was a catastrophic, public, agonizing proof that 6 rounds was no longer enough. Law enforcement watched that day and asked a question they couldn't unhear. What happens when the criminal has more bullets than the officer? The Glock 19 walked in with an answer. 15 rounds in the magazine, 1 in the chamber, 16 shots before a reload, nearly triple what any standard revolver could offer. And that reload, when it came, was a different experience entirely. Instead of a fumbling dance with a speed loader and scattered brass, officers could drop a spent magazine and slap in a fresh one in under 2 seconds. The revolver, the gun that had served generations of officers without complaint, quietly disappeared from duty belts within a few short years. Not because it failed, but because the world changed around it, and the Glock 19 was exactly what the new world needed. A gun that had survived for most of the century couldn't survive the Glock 19. 6 victims, 6 legends, 6 guns that dominated their eras and earned reputations that seemed permanent. Every one of them ended up in the same place. If you want to understand why some guns become legends while others quietly get retired, subscribe to Guns You Can't Live Without. The next breakdown drops soon.